Talk about radical service.
Yeah.
Ta-da! Good morning, radical stewards.
Morning.
So some of you that haven't been with us don't know that you've taken a step on the wild side. That not only have you become progressive, but now you're learning to be a radical. So welcome aboard. We're glad you're here. So radical stewardship is what we ended with last week, and we talked about how being a good steward is about managing responsibly, consciously, what we've been entrusted with. And we've been entrusted with many gifts. Our time, our talents, our treasures, the earth and all of its occupants. Remember, Genesis told us that we have dominion over all things. So we are responsible to be good stewards of all things. And I shared with you that my big aha was about learning that being a good steward means that everyone is my neighbor. And every neighborhood is my neighborhood. And that I have an innate responsibility to care and to share everything that comes my way. And when we left Sunday, I challenged you to take one small step to becoming a good steward. And so I wonder this morning if anyone dared to practice stewardship. Is anyone a good steward? Tara told me she was earlier. So how are you a good steward?
Well, I am an in-home aide, and all but one of my clients either does not have access to recycling or just doesn't do it. So I've started taking home plastics from my clients to recycle, and since I've been doing that, the amount of recyclables I put out has doubled.
Yay! Who else here recycles? All right, so now, and I asked if there were any stewards, right? Give yourselves a pat on the back, right? That's stewardship. Susan, what did we learn about stewardship this week?
It's our responsibility. We are the guardians of the earth. Glenda and I attended a workshop, and Mary, on how to be radical within your own church building by thinking green and lowering your cost of energy. It was wonderful. It was very practical. We paid for it out of our own pocket, and we were really glad to be there. And we learned a lot, and we will be able to be better stewards of this building.
Pat, how are you a good steward?
That just reminded me, this was not recent, but I got something by email that talked about non-renewable energy. And so I bought 2 large wind machines, and they let me know, how much that saves. And then later, I was so caught up in it, I bought 4 and then another 4 of solar panels. So I'm one of their customers now, and I still pay my electric bill, but I know that it's not draining anything from the earth, and I feel that that movement is growing.
All right, awesome. Who shared something they had with someone else? None of you shared anything. There we go, Marsha.
I cleaned out 2 closets. And what I'm discovering in my life is that I only need about 25% of what I have.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm just giving away and cleaning out, knowing that these are things that other people can use more than me.
Absolutely.
So that's my way.
Being a good steward. I am, absolutely. Awesome. So we started this journey to become radically generous by first making a commitment. Committing to doing something every day that's generous. Something we haven't done before. To give in new and different ways. And this past week, one of the components of radical generosity is stewardship. So we're learning to be good stewards. Today, I have a great announcement. You guys are here to serve. Okay, I'm ready. What? You didn't get the memo? Oh, you're one of those. You came to church this morning thinking you were going to get served, right? You thought maybe the musicians were going to serve you. You thought maybe the kitchen angels would serve you. You thought I was going to serve you? You know, we do like to be served. All of us. I'll go to a restaurant today because I go on mutiny after 2 o'clock. Right? And then it's time for the world to serve me because I'm done. Most of us are kind of like these 2 little brothers that I know. There were these 2 little guys, and they're having breakfast, and they're down to the last pancake. And so the oldest one goes, I am the oldest. You need to give me the last pancake. And the little one goes, no. I'm the baby. I should get the last pancake. And so they start to argue. But you got the last pancake last time. No, I didn't. You got the biggest pancake. And they're just going at it like kids do. And the mom decides this is a great opportunity for an object lesson. So she goes in and she splits the boys up and she says, you know, in Sunday school, we've been learning about Jesus. And Jesus says that it's better to give than to receive. And Jesus taught that the most important thing we could do is love your brother as yourself. And so I want you to imagine that you're Jesus. And what would Jesus do? And immediately the older brother perks up and he says, wow, Peter, I'm going to do you a great service today. You can be Jesus this week, and I'll let you serve me the pancake. Aren't we just like that? And yet, really what Jesus taught, and what most of the masters have taught, is that if we want our lives to be transformed, if we want our lives to be blessed, then we have to learn to serve in radical ways. We have to learn to be of service. And so what does it mean to be of service? You heard what the kids thought. What about you all? What does it mean to be of service? What does it mean to serve? Anybody? Kelly?
Help.
To help? What else?
Give of yourself.
To give of yourself. What else?
To inspire and heal.
To inspire and heal. It's all of those things, so why are we afraid of it? What are the excuses that are lurking in your mind?
Don't want to get involved.
Don't want to get involved. How many of you don't have enough time? I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. Some of us think we don't have enough resources. Right? We have lots of excuses. Some of us been there, done that. Right? I've served. I've given and I've given and I've given. I'm just done now. Right? Somehow we have developed plenty of excuses for not serving. And to support those beliefs about not serving, we've created some myths. So I remember some time ago after, probably I'd only been here 5 or 6 months maybe. And one of the people that served on the platform with me talked to me about changing my language. Because we had been in the platform prayer circle, holding our hands like we do before every service. The platform team gathers and we bless the sanctuary and bless each other. And we were praying, and I said, let us be of service today. Let us serve every person that walks through this door. Let us serve with gladness and zeal. And that whole ideal of serving really bothered her. In fact, she was really clear with me that she did not want to use her talents and her skills to serve. Because in her mind, serving was menial. Serving meant slavery. Serving meant to be a servant. How many of us live with that myth? We believe that for some reason that serving means slavery. And yet there's absolutely nothing in the Bible to support it. There's nothing in Jesus' life to support it. There really aren't any examples of people like Mother Teresa and Buddha, people that have served the world, considering themselves to be enslaved. In fact, really, when we look at radical service, it's a dance. This has been an important lesson for me to learn around prosperity, that there is giving and there is receiving. And that it is giving and receiving that opens the channel of abundance. So you have to have both. You have to give and you have to receive. Radical service works the same way. You have to serve and you have to be served. How does it feel when you help somebody? Awesome. Good. Right? You feel empowered. You feel lifted up. Why wouldn't you want somebody to feel the same way? Yet how many of us, we would just rather be on the floor crawling around before we'd ask for help? Right? I have to suffer before I'm willing to say, Uncle, will you help me do something, right? We are denying someone else the joy that we feel when we serve. And so serving is not about slavery. Serving is about giving. It's about this balance of contributing to others and allowing others to contribute to us. One of our other myths that we carry around is that service is about sacrifice. Now, I'm not even going to ask anyone to raise their hands if you've been raised in a sacrificial religion, because I'm going to guess it's a lot of us, right? They grew up with this ideal that nothing's worthy unless it causes us pain. Like, it has to be painful. We have to sacrifice. It doesn't count. You know, if it's not blood, sweat, and tears, it doesn't count. You know, it's like that exercise adage. Remember those really buff athletes that used to try to sell us all those wonderful CDs that some of us bought, those DVDs to exercise, that taught us no pain, no gain. All right, for anyone over 50, we know that that's a bump, right? Like we've totally given that up. Right? In fact, what we know today is that a little bit of exercise every day is better than no exercise at all, right? And what we know is that if we listen to our bodies and honor it, we want to not be in pain, correct? Right. Service and sacrifice, same. The little bit of good that you do is worth more than doing nothing. A little bit of service goes a long way. And it doesn't have to be painful. In fact, Psalm 102 says, serve the Lord with with your heart. It also says, serve your Lord with gladness. Right? No pain, gladness. You should be happy to serve. You should love to serve. You should love what you're doing. If you're doing something and you don't love it, then stop. That's not service. That's sacrifice, and we got plenty of people willing to do that. Right? Serve with gladness. Serve because you want to serve, not because you have to sacrifice. How many of you have had a really bad day, and then somebody smiles at you and it changes your whole day? Yeah? You know that feeling? And just think about that. So this one person smiled at you, and it shifted your day. And then you, in turn, smiled at someone else, who then smiled at someone else. So just think about that ripple from one small act of service. We talked about that with stewardship too. It doesn't take some huge work to change the world. It only takes one small action. Mother Teresa said, one small thing done 100 times can change the world. The very last myth that some of us have is that service is hard work. Now, many of us have worked hard and we're over it, right? We've given it up. We've sworn off hard work. And so we think service is hard work. And for those of us who went to Nehemiah up at Unity Village, the Nehemiah retreat, there was definitely some physically demanding work, right? I bet not a single one of us would ever say that it was hard. It wasn't hard because our hearts were in it. One of the first conversations I remember that Bob Salazzo and I had on the way to Unity Village to a conference was about this idea of a servant's heart. Serving with our hearts. When you serve in love, when you serve in joy, when you serve in gladness, it can't possibly be hard. So, you got no more excuses. That's done. Excuses done. Right? We busted through the myths. And that's really what is at the center of radical servanthood. When we started this series, we defined radical as an extreme change in our view or our habits. And so what I'm asking you to do is to stop making excuses, to let go of the myths, to radically shift everything you've ever thought about giving of yourself, and to be open to what it truly means to serve. So Merriam-Webster's dictionary, the third definition for service is, that's what it is, contributing to the well-being of others. Contributing to the well-being of others. So the other radical part comes from that Latin root, radicalis. Radicalis means from the root. And for us as New Thought Christians, as unitics, radical servanthood means to contribute to the well-being of others from the depths of God, from the depths of divine love. Because that's where our roots are, right? We are rooted in the knowledge that God and I are one. We are rooted in the knowledge that that which God is, we are. And so if God is love, we are love. And if we are love, then our mission is to contribute to the well-being of others. Now just take that in for a minute. Contribute to the well-being of others. What do you do that contributes to the well-being of others? At 10 o'clock last night, I'm getting ready to wind down for the night so I get a good rest before the service. And literally, everything has broken loose. I've gotten text messages that people were sick. I've gotten text messages that people can't be present. It's just like everything was kind of crumbling down. And I'm getting ready to go to bed. And my sweet wife says to me, "So, would it help if I facilitated tomorrow?" And I said, "Well, it'd be one less thing I'd have to do." And I took a breath and went, "Seriously? Like, you're going to get up early and come to service? So that ahead of time so you can facilitate?" Just a small thing, right? Just a small thing. She's also great at playing her guitar when nobody shows up to do the music. We have a long history of this. She just contributed to my well-being. Just that one small act of kindness, I can facilitate tomorrow. And I was able to go to sleep and not have to worry about having one more thing on my plate this morning. One small thing that contributes to the wellness of others. As I was preparing for this lesson, I ran across this story about Andy Mackey. He was featured in the CBS Evening News in 2009. And at that time, he was on a bunch of medications. He'd had a bunch of surgeries, and he was barely alive. And he was just done. And so he decided that he was going to stop taking all of his medicines. He decided that this was not the quality of life he signed up for, so he was going to quit taking all of his medicine, and instead, he was going to use that money to do something that he was passionate about. And so he took that money that he would have spent on medication, and he bought 300 harmonicas. He loved the harmonica. And he took those 300 harmonicas down to the local school, and he passed them out to the kids. And then he gave them harmonica lessons. And then the next month, he did the same thing over again. And at the time of the interview in 2009, it had been 11 years that he had stopped taking medication that was keeping him alive. He had distributed 13,000 harmonicas. 13,000 children had learned to play the harmonica. And he said, he told the person that was interviewing him, "I feel fully alive. And I feel rich beyond measure." And when the man says, "So how do you explain it? How do you explain that you're alive?" He said, "Because I chose to give back. Because I chose to give back to my community. And every day, I do something I love." Every day. He lived for 13 years, distributed 20,000 harmonicas, 5,500 Mackie sticks that he taught the children to make themselves, established a non-for-profit music foundation that buys musical instruments for impoverished children, pays for them to have music lessons, and sends high school students from poor neighborhoods to college to get their degrees in music. And it all started with the harmonica. When we are radical servants, we contribute to the well-being of others. From the love in our hearts, from the joy in our hearts. We contribute because we are blessed. We contribute because of all that we've been given. We give radically in service of love, in service to love. And when we dare to be radical servants, our lives are transformed and we are radically blessed. How will you serve today? With infinite love and gratitude, it is my deepest joy to serve you. Namaste.
Namaste.